When our next guest was last on the Any Given Run Day podcast back on episode 188, he had just done a 2:24 Dublin Marathon PB. He's now at 2:21 Dublin Marathon runner and was runner-up of the recent Cork City Marathon. He's here to answer your Instagram questions on all things Dublin Marathon 2025. Welcome back to the podcast, Michael Fox. How are we getting on?
Hey, lads, thanks for having me back again. Appreciate it. Thought it was bad enough you took me on once, but to take me back again.
And even better, you've got a glorious T-shirt on there, Mick. Look, we'd have to start ringing each other before we go out now.
270 plus guests, and by far the best dressed guest we've ever had in the podcast. Right there with the T-shirt, it has to be.
I've not been on below the table here, but
even better. It's so hard to beat now. Michael, the podium is set pretty high.
We're gonna have to bring out shorts now. Michael, when you are running races, do you just keep saying, I'm the fastest man alive, I'm the fastest man alive? Like, how do you get yourself around 221?
I'm not even the fastest man in my house.
221, when we talk about marathons, and everyone always says to us, and people listening to this is, can't relate. And we need to remind them that you were a guy who turned his life around from hating running, wouldn't cross the road in a run, to now running a 2:21 marathon. And people forget that. They forget what it took for you to take a transition in life and now work and be consistent and get all the way to there. Some of us talk about, my first was a 5 hour and then I did a 4:30. How hard is it to go from 24 to 21? 3 minutes.
Do you know what? It's a lot harder than you think. Like, I was only looking 1 minute. I think it was a minute maybe, because there was a local record of ours that stood for 43 years. It was 2:23:53. Yeah, something like that. So I said to my wife, I says, I need to try and take another minute off that so I'm not on the same time, But it takes a lot of work. Like, when you're the early stages, you can chunk off 10 minutes and 15 minutes. I don't mean quite easily, like, but it's not as bad. When you get down to these wee figures now, I'm now chasing 90 seconds and it could take me a year to get that 90 seconds.
That's some commitment to get that, Michael. Just talking about that, just for people listening that may have not heard your story before, can you talk about how your marathon times broke down to where you are now, 2:21? Like, one of the questions we got from at Mickey_Quinn was, what's a realistic progression time year wise? He talked about doing a 3:45 back in 2023 and needed 3:38, and he's dropping down a bit further. Mine's yo-yo like a mad thing, and so has Eric's. But when you're progressing down, like you said, you were, I think it was 2:26 you were trying to beat for a while, and then you got your 2:24, and then you're trying to get down again. What were you at before 2:26, and what does that progression look like?
My very first one was 2:40, and then I ran 2:40 again a year later. So I didn't have any progress at all a year later. And then COVID came about, and I started running 100-mile weeks. And then I come out the other side of COVID and jumped from 2:40 to 2:33.
Right.
I jumped from 2:33 to 2:27, and then to 2:26. But then it was when the yo-yoing started. Like, so I've done 14 marathons, but it's never been just up, up, up. There's been one good one, 3 go back ways, one good one, 2 go back ways, one good, So realistically, it depends on where you're at. If you're starting off at 5 hours, you could jump down 30 minutes one marathon later. If you're starting out and your first one's at 2:40, you're going to find it difficult to take off 2 minutes maybe, So it depends on where your starting block is. And the further down you get, the smaller those margins are going to get. Like.
And just to bring that back, because people hear first marathon 2:40, you didn't take on your first marathon for a while. Can you remind people what it was like for you getting into running, just briefly, to bring them back so they don't have to go all the way back to 178?
Yeah, well, look, for anyone that doesn't know, I ran plenty when I was a kid and into my teenage years. And then in my mid-20s, me and my now wife went to Australia. I'd put on 30 kilos of weight and completely quit running altogether. Come back to Ireland and always had my love for running, but just wasn't doing it at all for a couple of years. Has put on a pile of weight and done a bit of cycling for a year or two to drop probably 15 kilos of that weight. And then in 2018 decided to take on Dublin Marathon as a way to get back into running and try and shift the rest of the weight that was carrying. So that's how the journey come about. I never had any intention to doing a marathon. Excuse me. And honestly, I just remember every time you spoke to anyone about doing any running at all, the thing was, what's your marathon time? What's your marathon time? I was like, I don't have one. So in 2018, I just signed up and was like, I'll do one of these. And sure, you never know. Someday I might get in, maybe break 3 hours and get into one of the big marathons. Like. And it all started from there.
And now that I don't know, as you're talking there, you do a lot of like just the phones in front of you and you just start going on talks. One of them, I'm not going to touch it now today, but you went in a mad rant about high rocks before. You're like, what's the point in an open and a pro? And that always sticks to me. And another thing from your Instagram that sticks to me, and everyone's not following, do follow Michael. He's brilliant on Instagram. But one of them, you were coming down to Tala and you were doing, I think you're doing a VO2 max with Sean Canad from Health Matters. And we'll get into that in a second. But you're like, I didn't want to go run with me. And I was like, I'd actually like that. And then you put up underneath, I'm going at a 4 minute pace. I'm going 26 kilometers or whatever it was. I was like, yeah, no, that's me. Yeah. So I hope someone joins up. I know for sure it's not me.
Join you on a bike.
How hard is it to get training partners going for runs? I heard you used to do a Sunday run club as well.
Yeah, I used to. At the moment now, I probably haven't ran with anyone in over a year, like every now and again maybe, but it's just, number one, it's the time of the morning the train. I have to be out the door at 6 a.m. And then number two, like, without sounding cocky or anything, your normal every day or every morning pace in mile pace is like 6:30 mile pace. That's your normal everyday running. Like, and then some of the days there, like tomorrow morning, I'll be running bits of my training at 5 minute mile pace. Like, so there's no one around here that, number one, would be willing to help you at all for that, or could, to be realistic, could hold on to it for that long. Like.
When you pick that time, because we got one of the questions about at D Kelly 2018 asked, do you wear a heart rate monitor when you're training? Do you? And how does working with Sean and the VO2 max, how does that dictate your training throughout a day and a week, getting to near those 100 miles you talked about?
Yeah, look, I first went down to Sean, it must be 4 years ago now. And it was to just get some sort of zones in place that I thought I was training hard, and it wasn't at all, to be honest with you. Like, my first marathon I was trying to average 10 mile a day, trying to run 8.5 minute mile pace. And I thought I was training hard. I went down to Sean and Sean was like, you need to push on, you need to train harder. So that was a great help for a long, long time. And I don't be as strict on it now. Like now, I don't know if you want to get into it or not, but now I'm on with a new coach since Christmas, and we just work things a lot differently. So he's setting me certain times to hit and targets to hit, and I sort of go off. Yes, I still have my heart rate monitor on. I still keep an eye on it that if things are going mental, but at the same time, I don't let it dictate the work that has been set out. So if I've been set out work, I'm going at that pace. I'll keep a look at it and say, oh, Jesus, I'm okay, or whoa, I'm in the red here, but I still won't let it take over or take control of. I now do sessions, which I never done when we spoke the last time.
We actually had a friend of the podcast, Kevin English, asked about that. What is the differences in your training now? You're getting coaching from Kevin Seward. I was looking him up. I knew the name, but just to be sure, he ran the Olympics 2016, has a 2 hour 10 minute in Seville, I think I read, in 2020. Like serious stuff. And I suppose, like you talked a second ago about, there's not many people that can train with you. That sounds like someone that can relate to where you're at that level. Like how different is the coaching and training with him now with what you're doing? Because what you're doing has worked for you, like 221. But is it different things happening now to get to that next level with, if there is, or to get that next level with him?
Yeah. So Kevin and I know each other for a long time. From we were probably teenagers, would have knew each other. And throughout me getting back to him running in the last few years, he would always drop in and send you a message, and know each other a long time. And he's actually been to 2 Olympics. He was in Rio and he was in Tokyo. He's been to Commonwealth Games, Europeans. He has a 62-minute half. Wow. Now the biggest thing with Kevin is that he's very relatable. He done all of those while still working full time as a teacher.
Wow. Jesus.
So he's never been to an altitude camp. He's never been a sponsored athlete. He's never give up his job. He runs in and out of work. So my wife we sat down at Christmas, and my wife was like, what are you going to do now to try and get better? I was like, I think I need help. Like, I need help from someone, And I always said I wouldn't be coachable. Like, I just don't think anyone could deal with the way I get on and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just reached out to him at Christmas and I just said, look, we know each other a long time and I feel like I could relate to him. If there's any chance at all, would he be interested in helping me out? And thankfully he said yeah, and I can't even explain, honestly. It's just completely different. Things are very different. I'm doing sessions, which I never done before. Really, really concentrating on running easy on the easy days where I was probably running too hard in those days. My mileage is higher than it's ever been at this stage in any year, even though I have to keep checking it because I'm feeling like, how do I feel this good? How do I feel okay at this stage of the year? I've ran more miles than I have before, but it's just the way he's structuring things. There's hard days, but then we have to make sure the days after that we're crawling and going easy and staying flat. And that's just allowing for my body to come back a bit. Like Cork Marathon there a few weeks ago, I would have normally been back out running 2, 3 days later, 3 days max. He made me take a full week off, no running at all. And I was crawling the walls, but if I've asked this man for help, I have to respect it and I have to do what he's saying.
How is it now? Like, you spent a lot of time thinking about how you were going to take on a day, a week, a month, a block, everything. And people who are listening to this, who are about to take on the 16-week training block for a marathon, and some for the first time, not knowing what it is, but some are going to be doing it themselves. They may have a plan they found online. They may be using some of the plans given out to them, and some may even be using a coach. For you, transitioning from training on your own and thinking about what am I going to do today, this week, what's the transition like now to go, what do I just have to do today? You just look at it and go, right, that's what I have to do. Is that easier, better, more enjoyable, or do you feel that little bit of control gone out of it? Was it difficult to change?
Yeah, it was difficult, definitely difficult at the start because, and this will probably go out to most people, right? And anyone that's going to start their 16-week journey to Dublin, if you are going on with someone, it's going to be difficult until you see something, until you see an improvement, or until you see something changing. Like we've said, I had full control of this from 2018, and you almost have to believe that you know best, even though you don't, like, right? But I can't explain, and I keep saying this to him. I was texting him just before I got on with you guys. I can't explain how much I'm enjoying my running now. I'm enjoying it more. It's more fun. I don't know what's coming through. Like there's a session during the week every week. The Sunday run is no longer just a Sunday run. It's a session. And I'm almost nervous every weekend. I'm like, oh, here we go. What's this going to do? Oh, I swear to God, right? And even when I go out, like, I do my warm up and I get to wherever I'm starting the session, and I'll be standing there like I'm getting ready for a race at like 10 past 6 in the morning. I'm like, oh God, once I hit starting this watch, that's it. We're in. I can't get back out. Who's going to see it? And when he sees it, he's going to know if I flop, and he's just, I don't know, like, it's quite hard to explain. I'm loving it so much, right? Which is making my running just so much more enjoyable. I can't believe that I've waited this long to ask for some help, but at the same time, it was probably at the perfect time. He has said, look, you've your 5, 6 years of massive base and built a robust person that can put up with the sessions that he's found me now. So to cut it in there, yeah, I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. I have now got to the stage where I'm just, whatever you say goes, let's make it happen. And I've run some great runs so far this year, and we're only together from Christmas, like.
When you say training on your own, and because of pace, because of everything, because of time, because of schedule, and life will dictate training schedule, which you have, because you say you're working full time and putting in these phenomenal sessions. How does training on your own, how do you manage that? I know I do a lot on my own, and at times it's lonely. And when I actually end up running with people, it's actually a little bit off-putting. Sometimes you're kind of like, why is there somebody talking to me? What do you want from me? Do I have to talk back? Do I have to answer you? So what can people expect of the positives and some of the challenges of training on your own? And then by going with a coach, does it feel like you have a training partner in a sense?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I like running on my own. It doesn't bother me at all. Honestly, it doesn't. It maybe at one stage when I lost sort of training partners and people to run with at the start, maybe it got a bit like, God, this is lonely. Like, but at this stage now, I, like yourself, I've kind of find it weird if I'm running with someone. In fact, even when I go to marathons now, I was at London Marathon not that long ago, and I was in a huge group, and I found it weird. And then I went to Cork a few weeks later, and there was only a few of us, a wee small group, and it got down to 3, then down to 2, and I was like, I'm in my own comfort zone now. There's only 2 of us.
Yeah.
So it's strange, but look, you do what you got to do. Like, if you want these things, you got to just put up with what you've got, don't you? Like,
How do you, we got a couple of questions on how you feel around that. One from Anton O'Hara 84, best way to fuel pre and post race, either long or short distance. And then at Fitzy West asked what a day of nutrition looks like. I suppose the first one, a day of nutrition, like how many calories are you consuming? Do you go down a calorie route, or do you just go with how you feel? I can see you just go to how you feel. Okay, I'm hungry, I eat, I run, and go
Yeah.
again.
Sure, I go around my house counting my kids to make sure they're still here. Counting calories.
That's so refreshing to hear that.
I couldn't tell you honestly. I wouldn't have a clue if I could. I'd just be telling you lies.
Mm,
I'm very plain and regimental. Like I eat the same breakfast every morning. My wife makes me lunch every day. 8 out of 10 times it's the same thing, and then dinner every night is good. It's like chicken and spuds and pasta, and it's good food all the time. But I'm a devil for snacks like biscuits and tea and buns. So,
mm,
so I'm not super strict, but at the same time, I don't drink, I don't eat takeaways too often and stuff like that. But the normal day would be I do my run fasted, I come home, I have protein yogurt, just the little ones you get in Aldi or whatever.
mm.
In it, granola, flax seeds, chia seeds, nuts, spoonful of honey, mix it all around, and a wee protein milk. That fills my belly up. And I'm being honest, protein, yeah, people say the great things about it. I just love it because it fills you up. It makes you feel full for a few hours.
Yeah.
Lunchtime, again, Michelle will make a wee chicken wrap or chicken and rice or something. Come in and eat that. And then dinner that night, spag bol, pasta, chicken, potatoes, whatever. But in between that, look, I'm like anyone else. If I get packers, I'll eat. If I'm going out on a second run that day and I feel like I'm a bit flat, I'll lift something out of the cupboard and I'll eat it. I'm not going to be too concerned about it. I'm not going to stress about it.
There's a lot of people that will argue against fasted or for fasted, and we always say it's always individual. It's whatever makes you feel good. What would you be your pros for the fasted running element?
Well, I don't do it for any particular reason other than you're going out at 6 in the morning, so it's easier just to get up, kid on, and out the door. And I've become that used to it now, right? And you can get the whiz kids or the nutritionists or the scientists in to argue otherwise. Everyone is individual, right? But I find if I can knock out 15-mile runs in the morning completely fasted and I'm okay, when it comes to marathon day, I don't need a mental amount of food to lift me
Mm.
up to another level. Do you know what I mean? Like, if someone's going out in the mornings and are having two bagels and bananas and this and that, then come marathon day when you're going to do double that, what the fuck amount of food are you taking in? Do you know? I don't know if that makes sense or not, like, but it makes sense to me.
It's definitely something like I feel it depends. I've narrowed it down, and Sean laughs at me every time. A little bit of chicken and rice, the day of a run, only on the bigger days. But like that, I'll go out fasted on some runs because I just got used to it. And then anytime I was eating beforehand, now I have noticed like a banana is something I can just get into me and go and get myself started with. But there's people who are going to make a lot of mistakes with food and nutrition and all the advice that's out there. And I suppose the point we're probably trying to get across to them over the next 16 weeks is you are going to have to try everything, as we've tried
Mm.
absolutely everything.
Yeah, 100%. And just to go back on that, like, don't overthink it or stress about it too much. Like, I had a little ritual and a routine, and I went to Cork a few weeks ago, and I said, "This is my marathon to try different things." I tried a different brand of shoe for the first time in 6 years. My breakfast, I was more. I took a bagel with banana on it. I took some porridge with honey in it. I took more gels on during the race that come from Seaward as well. So I tried a lot of those things and took in more food, and I felt the best I've ever felt in Cork. So I'm not arguing saying that what I do in the days or the mornings is right. I'm just saying, like, do what's right for you, but don't play around or stress about it too much.
I think people can overthink it now at this stage when they're starting the 16-week journey and they're reading so many different things and you have to do this and you have to do that. It's like you said when you do the fasted runs, it's like you get used to it. We get asked before, is it best to train in the morning or the evening? It's like what you can realistically do and what you can realistically get used to doing is the answer to that question. I mean, there's no point in saying, oh, it's a little bit better training in the morning because X, Y, and Z, and you're naturally an evening person, you normally train in the evening. Don't change everything just because someone online said, oh, the best time to do it is exactly this time to train.
See, this is the problem too. Like, you talk about social media, and social media is a fantastic thing, right? It's a brilliant thing if you are watching and following along with good people, correct people, honest people. Not someone that's just putting out a video to get some attention, or someone that's putting out a video about eating this thing first thing in the morning because that company gave them X amount of money. So I think that's why people are seeing too much and reading too much. And, people just go to a video and they just go, oh, there's this guy said this. You don't know who he is, what he's done, what he's achieved, why he's doing that. So just be careful who you watch and what you watch, and try and get reputable opinions on different things, and if again, if you go back to individuals, like whatever suits you best, just stick with it. Like,
when we're talking about training, obviously it took you 5, 6, 7 years to say, I need help. It takes a lot of people that long, even to get involved in the club and stuff. People taking on their first marathon, is it wise to take on a coach for your first one? Is it wise just to give it a go, feel it out yourself, or what do you recommend for people?
Right. So again, be totally honest, right? It's completely individual. Who are you as a person? Are you the type of person that can get up in the mornings and go out and you don't need someone to tell you what to do, or to hold your hand, or to tell you you're fantastic, and to tell you, then you don't need a coach. No, you don't need one. You will get around a marathon. You can get around a marathon, and you can pick up some little program somewhere. Is it better to have a coach? Again, it depends on who you are. There's me for 6 years where I told you, no, you don't need anything. You can do this on your own. And I'm then reaching out for help. I get help and I'm going, oh my God, this is amazing. I can't believe the relief it brings. I can't believe how easy your running week becomes, and your running life, your everyday life becomes, when someone has put that stuff on paper for you. You just go out, tick the box, come home. There you go. It's someone that has, in my opinion, or in my circumstances, someone who has done far more than me, has achieved far more than me. So therefore, I've put full trust in them. So sorry to go the long way around that. Do you need one? No. In my opinion, is it going to be better with one? Yeah. For me, definitely at this stage, yeah.
We got one question here about, I can't remember where it is. It's somewhere on the screen. I'm all over the place. Yeah, here it is. Best approach for at Steve Manning 151. Best approach for a second time running to improve. So someone who's done a marathon before, and let's say they've done Dublin before, is there something where you're going around that course a couple of times, or leading into Dublin, it's like, you know what, for getting this time down, I need to work more on, I don't know, is it the hills of Dublin, or hills an issue? We talked before in the podcast where I think it was you that said you actually prefer the rolling hills of Dublin compared to Berlin. Is there's something like, this is what you should work on more for Dublin?
Yeah, I love Dublin, and I think most of us around here, if we train in these back roads and these country roads, it suits a lot of athletes like us, right? The only thing you can say all the time, right? I've done 14 marathons now, right? It's a small number compared to some people, but out of that, maybe 4 of them went really well, right? Not necessarily your 4 best times, but always remained disciplined early on in the race. Like, if you've set a pace and you've got a goal time, please stick to it, right? So many times I have not done that. I've got into a thing and then you're going, oh, I'm 5 seconds up. But sure, if you want a PB, you need these 5 seconds. You need these. If you have a goal pace, please stick to it to a certain point. And when you get to that point, it doesn't matter how good you're feeling. In fact, the better you're feeling and the more your mind wants you to push on, the better. Pick that pace, get that pace, and set off and stick to it, stick to it, stick to it. I don't think it matters if that's Dublin, London, Liverpool, wherever. Pick the pace you'll be happy with, or your PB time, and stick to it like glue until 23 mile, whatever, 22 mile, until you know that when you're going to move on, you can continue to move on to the finish line.
Oh man, I'm gonna need that in repeat. I did that in Barcelona recently, and like, I feel so good. Just this, hang on the extra 10, 15 seconds, you feel great. And I got to 35 kilometer, and then the wheels fell out. I was on for like a 3:23, which is like well beyond the PB for me. And then the last 7K was absolute torture because I did not stick with the intended pace all the way through. It was like, I feel the best I've ever felt. These new gels are brilliant. And then, oh, it was horrific. So I cannot echo that one enough. And I've done it a fair few times, and I'm an idiot who has not learned yet. But Dublin, I will.
Look, and Dublin as well. Dublin has the hills in the right places. Like, you know what I mean? There's certain points there that when you get to them, like Heartbreak Hill and that little lift over the flyover, when you get over that last wee lift, I think it's about 23 mile, is it?
Yeah, there
up that wee flyover, like, you have to know that get there with a little bit of energy at all left in you.
Yeah.
And once you get up and over that, like, you're pretty easy flowing all the way home. Like,
Yeah, it's home and hose at that
um,
stage.
yeah, yeah,
When people are starting, and what we've noticed is some people are listening to people like, I'm doing 100-mile weeks, I'm doing 120-mile weeks, but they're not realizing you're covering those miles a hell of a lot quicker as well. So it's easier for you to probably clock up mileage in the same 2 hour block than someone like myself who's going out to take on a 2 hour run. I'm probably covering a third of the distance. When we look at from a coach's perspective on this one, as people are starting their marathon journey, one, I want to touch on consistency and the importance of that. And then the second one is time training versus mileage. What should they be looking at in the early doors? Let's say we're talking 16 weeks, but in the first couple of weeks or two, because you're going to hear everyone, I'm doing 70-mile weeks, and they're looking at, well, I only covered 40K this week, like
yeah.
what are we looking at for people there, and how should they prioritize as a coaching perspective?
Yeah, look, it depends on everybody as well. Everything in this sport is individual. We do it, our training, our racing, our times, everything. When we get there on marathon day, it's individual as well. There are lads that have run much quicker marathons than me off 85, 90 mile a week. But I feel like I need to go to 120. So if you're beginning with, say, you have 5 athletes there, like, we could have one athlete that's already running 50 Ks a week, but not only ran, say they've ran a 3:02 marathon. And then we could have an athlete that has ran a 3:01 marathon and says to you, but I'm knocking out 90 Ks a week here. So you got to break down and start from the beginning with each person. And if that person wants to work in kilometers or miles, or, oh, look, I normally just go for half an hour here and there. In the beginning stage, maybe make it easier for what they work off. If they tell you they go out for 3 20-minute runs, well, then let's get that 20 minutes to 25 minutes to 30 minutes. And they won't pay much attention then to the distance. You know what I mean? Build their time up. If there's another person out there in the beginning, at the starting point is, I do 5K 5 times a week. Well, they're obviously into covering that 5K, right? Okay, let's get 5 to 7, and then we'll get 7 to 10, and then we'll introduce. So work each person individually, depending on where they're starting and what their starting point is at. And, everyone's different. Like, you could be approaching someone that's never ran before, and to tell them you got to spend an hour and a half out on the road. What? But if you tell them maybe they need to spend 10K out on the road, they'll go, oh, okay, well, that took me an hour and 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Kevin Seward has taught me a lot in the last 6 months of tricking the mind into one thing and thinking something sounds easy when it's not easy.
When we're looking at that as well, in terms of a lot of people in early doors, they think, I need to be a marathon runner this week 1, I need to be doing 6 runs a week, I need to be. What are the big dangers of that, and what kind of precautions do people take, particularly if they're getting back into running? So there's probably people listening to this that are taking on a charity run. As you know, Michael, better than anyone, everyone's running from or for something. It doesn't matter if it's a charity, something that's going on for someone, or a bigger purpose. A marathon tends to bring them in. What are the kind of exclamation marks we need to not warn people of, but kind of advise them of? That 16 weeks is a long time, and it's a lot of time to build up, is where I'm going with it. But what are the big mistakes you can see people making in early doors, week 1, week 2?
All the time is probably, like you stated earlier, they're jumping in too quick. They're seeing their mate who maybe played county football, and he's able to go out and knock out a 16-mile run because he's ignorant and he's stubborn, and his mate told him in the pub on Saturday he couldn't do it. And then the other guy sitting saying, oh, I just took on a marathon program with a coach who told me I have to do 8K this Sunday. So just have some patience. This is a game where you need to have patience. Yeah. Yes, you said it, 16 weeks is a long time. So just have yourself some patience, trust the process. And I can promise you now, if you go too fast, too soon, you're going to get hurt and you ain't going to get to your start line.
Speaking of too fast, too soon, for people doing their first marathon first and they just want to complete it, how important or not important at all are the likes of interval runs? Should be just different runs, focus on the long run and build up your mileage, or do you think that interval runs and pace runs come into it, or is that more for your second and third marathon?
First marathon, we'll go back to, like, look at me doing my first marathon. I was trying to run a certain time, so you would need to do some sort of wee fast stuff. If someone just wants to complete a marathon, right? And I've said this to so many people face to face, I honestly believe and think that anyone can go out and run a marathon. You will suffer. It will be hard. It's going to be difficult. I think if you're going to take one on, you could do it tomorrow. You'll have to walk and jog and walk and jog. If you're going to take on one, make it as easy and as enjoyable as possible. Don't not do the work. Get there on marathon day and say, that was awful. That was terrible. I never want to do it again. I had cramps. I had pains. I had this. Everyone will get round it, can get round it, and would be able to. Just make it easier, make it more enjoyable. So intervals and all, if you just want to get to the finish line, get your miles clocked up, get your hours in, put your time in your feet, get used to your gels and stuff like that, and just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Don't get into all that heavy, fancy stuff at that stage of running, or it'll put you off. It will. It'll completely put you off, you know.
It is a very clever way of putting it as well. And it's one thing me and Sean learned from our first one. It was hell. And the reason it was hell was because the training was crap. And the reason the training was crap was because we didn't know what a marathon was and we didn't care what it was. We just said we could do it. And we suffered and endured, and it was the worst 5 hours of our lives. The first, actually, no, it was the worst 2.5. The first 2.5 was great till the wheels came off. But after that, that's when we realized, I suppose, when you talk about tricking the mind, we're talking about when you don't want to go out and run. You're going out so that in 16 weeks' time, you can enjoy the day. You're going to hate today. It's raining. It's miserable. It's dark. It's this, it's that, the other. Now, it's great time now to be starting training, but as it gets closer in, the frost starts kicking in. It's not as nice. It's not, you don't want to do it as much, but it's that reminder that you're training for a victory lap. And that's what a marathon is, essentially.
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, not when you're going. When you run at my pace, it's great.
I've that line plenty of times.
Great crack.
Fucking work out that way. No, but you're right. Yeah, just make it. I have a few guys there at the moment, like, and one lad I'm good friends with, like, and I said to him, you can do it. You could do it tomorrow. Like, he's fit. He trains in the gym. Just make it enjoyable. You're going to go out there. Your family's going to be there watching you. You know what I mean? People, crowds. Just make it an enjoyable day out. Like, don't make it difficult. Don't make it hard on yourself. Like, so first time out, take on this process, enjoy the 16 weeks, and make sure that you get there in one pace, and make sure that when you get there, you can manage to get around it and enjoy it.
There's people that are using this podcast as a guide and as guidance. They'll be plugging in on a Monday and they'll be listening to us on a long run or taking on a marathon. What kind of days should we be running if we are listening to us for advice and guidance, and we're saying, right, should we be doing 3 days a week, 4 days a week as we start on our journey?
It goes back again. Who are you? What are you? Have you done anything in the past? Have you been a footballer? Have you been a gym goer? What's your background? You know, but to get up to completing a marathon, like, you'd like to think that someone, by the time they're in the middle, in the deep parts of the marathon, that they're getting out. It would have to be bare bones 4 days a week. Like, ideally, you'd want someone up around 5-6 days a week. Look at the likes of myself. You're out 7 days a week, and then 2 to 3 of those days you're out twice, so it's 9-10 times a week. So I would definitely say bare bones, someone would need to be out at least 4 to 5 days a week.
Looking at going from marathon 1, you have marathon 14 now, and you're getting your training from Kevin Seward. What is the biggest thing that you may have thought about the marathon in the first couple to now? It's like, oh, I used to always think this, but maybe it's true doing the marathons or their coaching you're getting now. It's like, actually, this is the biggest mind shift change. Is there anything that stands out that's been different from day one to now?
Yeah, like when I first started out, it was just a matter of trying to get around. You know what I mean? It was a big, scary, daunting thing to go, I have to get to the finish line of 42K. Like, that's a long way away. Now I've got to the point where I'm treating marathons as races. Like, I'm going to them and I'm trying to compete and I'm trying to race. And it's a weird thing to get used to, but it relaxes you down a wee bit, where you're like, there's a biggest shift in my own marathon training and racing, where you're going to ones now and you're saying, holy shit, I have a chance of getting on a podium here. You have a chance. So when you do that, the daunting thing of finishing 42K goes out the window. You're like, there's no doubt about finishing this. Like, it's a matter of how I can be smart, how I can duck and dive during this marathon, how I can try and just make wee things a bit easier. So now things have shifted a lot in regards to I'm racing them now, rather than just being scared of getting around it. Like,
can we then touch on Cork and talk us through what it was like to race? And let's be honest, you talked about the small group and narrowing it down. When you were in your comfort zone, it's just me and you know, how was that feeling, I suppose, as you come through the later stages of the race and At what point did you go, I'm in this? I am really in this.
Well, quickly, early on in the race, it immediately got to a group of the lad Chris who won it. He said to me on the start, he was like, "What are you going for?" And I was like, well, I'll see how I feel." And he said, "I'm going for 220. Come with me." And I was like, "Enjoy yourself." I'm not. Like, a couple of weeks before that, I went off chasing 220 in London, blew a gasket. So I was like, "I'm not doing the same thing again here." Like, so my goal, like with Seaward, was to go to Cork, try and get on the podium. So it was a matter of get into a race, don't take the lead, do as little work as possible, and just play smart until his thing was 8K out. You're still in the game, do what you want. Let's see what happens. So the group went from like 10 down to 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. And the guy Pavel, who's won it the last few years, he had gone after the leader. I think we caught him at about 13 mile. There's a few of us ran together until maybe 14, 15. Then me and another lad were just the two of us. So at that stage, I was like, great, I'm in third here. I just need to get the better of this by here. Like, so I was honestly feeling that good. And I kept telling myself, this sounds so stupid now. Like, I was going to myself, that aged away up the road's going to blow up and drop out. I'm telling you, he's going to blow up. He's gone out too hard. And I was thinking to myself, imagine he blows up. I'm going to win this thing. Like,
Unreal.
but he didn't blow up. So I did, I think about 19 mile, I put a few wee surges in, got a wee gap. And then at 20 mile, I thought, oh shit, Seaward said 5 to 8K. I have still 10K to go here. And I just thought, here, listen, you've committed now. And because I was smart throughout the race, I'd paced myself and stuff, I had enough energy to start trying to get a bit quicker over the last few miles. Like,
Unreal. Can I ask, because myself and Eric will never know personally, do you get the same medal as everyone else getting second in the top three?
you see a medal.
You get the same medal, you get a special medal for coming second.
I got the same medal, but I got this piece of glass as well. Michelle makes me put them all in the back.
It's the same medal.
I'm going to have to get Sean a piece of glass now at the next one.
Yeah, no, I'll send the glass down to you. It's a fucker trying to clean it.
When you obviously talk about transitioning into the feeling of racing now, again, you very much were racing, and we touched on the mindset of, if I just beat this guy, that's second place, he might drop. How good and how quick does time go by now when it's strategy as opposed to I need to just survive? You know, it's not surviving anymore. It's racing, which is so different. But how liberating, you've touched on it, but how quick does a marathon go by now when it's just watching the other guys' moves?
So quick. Honestly, it feels like 20 minutes. Like at one stage in Cork, my watch beeps every mile, you know, just to give you a wee flash of like what way things are. And at one stage, I remember looking at it and going, this thing, no way, 9 mile was gone. And I was like, Jesus, what has happened? You know, so your mind's just elsewhere. You're focusing on people around you. Where many years before that, it's all about the watch. You're checking, panicking if it's 1 second out to 2 seconds. You know, a lot of things this year so far have been getting inside my head and just giving yourself a wee bit more confidence in yourself. And that's working, thankfully. So hopefully it continues to go that way. Like,
one of the things we've been told before on the podcast when it comes to marathon is that watch is not going to be accurate over 42.2 kilometers. Like, it's going to be out by 400 or 500 meters, if not more. So to be stressing over a couple of seconds here or there, especially with Dublin, when some kilometers you're up going up Chapel Lizard Hill, that kilometer is not going to be the same time as the next one. So you're going to keep changing a little bit up and down. Don't be focusing that much on the watch.
yeah. Well, the great thing on your watch, on most of them anyway, you should be able to put on the average. And that's a great thing to have there because there's a live pace on those watches, right? And if you watch the live, it moves all the time, going up and down climbs and maybe different situations. If you keep there's the average on your screen, it's fantastic because as you get deeper into the marathon, say your average is, we'll pick an easy one, 5 minute kilometers. For you later in the marathon, for you to go to a 5:05, like, you need to drop a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's huge, yeah.
To go to a 5:05 average, one of those kilometers needs to be way out. Like, so you could be knocking off your kilometers and ticking them off. But if one of them, two of them, three of them, four of them are only 1 second out, 2 seconds out, 3 seconds out, it still might not change that average, which will keep your mind a bit more relaxed. You're like, okay, the average is still the same. So I found in the last probably 4, 5, 6 marathons, I just concentrate on the average pace, because the live one will bounce up and down. And as long as the average is staying where you want it, the deeper you get into the race, it's going to take one really bad mile to change that average. And even if it does change, it'll only change 1 second.
That's huge. That's something that has been affecting me. I'm like, oh, yeah, because you're doing the maths in your head, and if you have
Yeah.
like, I'd be going for a 3:30, so it's around the 4:55 to 5. But if I've got 1 kilometer, it's a 5:20. I'm like, well, it's 5:20. I'm at kilometer 26, and how much is that affect? I'm
Yeah.
an idiot. Never thought about the average, and the damn watch in front of me. Had I been there, I wouldn't have even known it was a 5:20. I
But
would have
sure,
known that was a bad
but
lap.
yeah,
That's it.
well, that's it. If you lost 20 seconds in 1 kilometer at kilometer 20, it's only going to put 1 second on to the average pace. 1 second. You're not going to
Yeah.
panic. You're not going to panic over 1 second. But if you see that go out by 20 seconds in 1K, you shit yourself. You go, oh God. Heart rate goes up. You start panicking. You start worrying. You start thinking the worst. What's happened to me? I've hit the wall. Constant, get that average on your watch and use that. That's an absolute brilliant, brilliant thing to have.
That's a game changer.
Yeah.
Switching slightly because at the end of the marathon, it's always the question going, you either go longer or you go faster. And obviously, you went faster and faster and faster. But you have a good friend, Ricky Wynn, who's at the moment recording this podcast. He's doing the Western States, and you see his Instagram, and he's up in mountains and he's all over the place. Does the road running ever get a bit tiring? And you look at someone like that and go, I'd love to give that a try.
Yeah. I love, like, me and Ricky have done some running together out in French mountains and stuff, and I do love that, like, right? But at the moment, I'm enjoying the road running and racing, and I believe I've only got a short window of getting
Mm.
better. So I don't want to. I will eventually go down the road of, I'm going to call it more enjoyable running, like where head up into the mountains for 2 or 3 hours and stop if you want to. I look forward to that stage, right? But at the moment, I'm enjoying this way, way too much. Like, and hopefully, I can ride this train for as long as possible. There are days, yeah, of course, it gets boring. You're running down a carriageway trying to hold 5 minute mile pace by yourself in the piss and rain. And then Ricky's got a video up with white chalk on his lips, a bucket hat, and his bare belly. So, it does piss you off a wee bit, and but at the same time, we all have our days.
Absolutely.
So in terms of kit, apart from the Any Given Run Day t-shirt, that is probably the best sports t-shirt ever made. In terms of kit, a lot of people are going to go to the Decathlons, the Elveries, the running shops around the country, and they're going to purchase everything. What are the do's and don'ts when we're looking at the kit and equipment for taking on a marathon?
Well, look, for your training, obviously don't go cheap. What's that old saying? You buy cheap, buy
Buy
twice.
cheap, buy twice, yeah.
Yeah, so don't be scrimping on stuff like that. If you buy some decent kit at the start, it'll do you the whole way through your journey. You know what I mean? There's a reason that some things are more expensive, like shoes and kit, shorts. You go cheap, shorts are going to cut the shite out of you, all that type of stuff, right? In regards to race day, try and get your kit bought early that you can try it out. So take your socks, take your shorts, take your vest, and try it out on one of your Sunday long runs to make sure it feels okay. Because as you two boys will know, things can feel lovely on the start line, and at 35K, everything and everybody and every word will piss you off. So your vest all of a sudden will annoy you, your shorts will annoy you. So get your race kit bought nice and early. Same with your shoes. If you're going to pick a brand of shoes or a type of shoe, get a pair now, try them on the odd Sunday run, and see how you feel with them. So there's no drastic changes in the last couple of weeks going into the marathon.
The first time I wore a tank top for a marathon, I'll never forget it, Kildare. I had chafing under my armpits and my back. Because my arms are huge, rung off my back. But no, it was, but I remember at the end of it, I was like, why do you wear that stupid thing? I was like, the pain in my back. And I couldn't tell him at the time. I was like, this was a stupid idea. I only got one good photo out of it as well. But but it's like that. You think on the day, you have your jacket on and stuff. Where you get your pennies, you throw it away. It's like they all wear tank tops to marathons. I'm gonna wear a tank top as well. But you haven't trained a tank top once, and then I say tank top, running tops, and then all of a sudden you get shape in places you hadn't got before. It rubs off the nipples, and it's like it's a brand new top, and you look good for the 30 euro Dublin Marathon photos. We don't look as good if you have blood coming out of the top.
Yeah. And look, we've all done it, but just make sure you're comfortable. There's nobody fussier than me when it comes to race day stuff. Like my wife will tell you, I try on 40 different versions of what I'm wearing, and I walk around the landing, and I'm like, what about that? What about
I
that?
would
What about that?
love to get a live video of the fashion show.
She'll say to you, she'll be like, that's the same shorts. You're like, it's not. This one has a different coloured string in the front of it. And
And
Oh,
color means speed.
yeah.
Color means speed.
when you're standing on podium with your glass beside you, you gotta look good, man. You gotta look good.
Look good, feel good, yeah.
That's it.
Just on that, how important is support for those who decided they're taking on a marathon but haven't told the better halves yet, or the family or the parents? How important is family to marathon success?
Massive, absolutely massive. Look, you need a support system at home. You need to. I actually did a little video on this yesterday, just trying to give out some tips in regards to taking on these things. Put a calendar at home, put in your race dates. If you've got 5 races between now and Dublin, put the dates in the calendar. If you've got long Sunday runs on certain Sundays, put them in the calendar. Try and just talk plenty at home. But the support system at home, I'm so lucky and blessed. Look, her Michelle in 2018 thought this was going to be a one-off marathon. In 2019, I told her I was never doing another one again. And now look what's happened, But the support system is massive. You need that back, and you need the support, but it needs to go sort of both ways too. Like, you organise those days. If you're going to have your day on a Sunday to train, and you need to put some effort into your family on a Saturday or a Monday or whatever. Get the balance. Just get a good balance.
And that's the bit people don't really do is find that balance with family. And it can be done. And you're a testament to that you can work, you can train, and you can have a family as long as you have the calendar, you have the plan, you talk about it. And a lot of people, it's something we definitely didn't realize, and we're very grateful for when we take on these races. There's so many people involved. It takes a village to do a marathon. It definitely does. Whatever about raising families and stuff, it definitely takes one to do a marathon. So
true. Yeah, everything. It's a big commitment, and it's a big commitment if you want to break 6 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours, or you want to do what I'm trying to do. It doesn't matter. It's the same commitment. We all need to put the time in.
Everyone's doing marathons on Instagram now. Everyone and its sister and girlfriend and boyfriend is doing a marathon. Is the marathon losing respect? And then do people find out the very hard way on the day about a marathon?
Yes.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
And listen, I am sick and tired of looking at some of this shite. And it's just, you're right. Everyone and their dog's doing it, right? And it's brilliant. It's great if you want to take it on, but you're getting these people who are coming on and come run this with me and come do this with me, and I'm taking on the such and such marathon. And my thing, I'm like, you are not respecting this. You are not giving this the respect that it needs, that it deserves. Like, and then you go on the day and you want a big sympathy fucking post because you didn't do this and you did this and it all went wrong. You got to understand what you're taking on is a huge challenge, like huge challenge to get from start line to finish line. And I'll go back to the social media thing. I get rattled when I see people who've never done one, but they're dishing out advice and they're dishing out my top tips and they're dishing out the best nutrition. So again, please be careful who you listen to.
We got to go down this rabbit hole. What recently has rattled you in terms of marathon or running or fitness in general? The floor is yours.
You got to be careful. Look, I'm a freak, right? I call this my sport, right? I'm like, this is my beautiful sport, right? Don't knock it, don't disrespect it. And I really, really want to see as many people doing it as possible, right? But just be careful how you do it. There's no one in particular thing that has rattled me. Like, it's just, we're in a world now where everyone's trying and everyone's taking on these things, but also when you want the right things to happen, when I want to see you take on a marathon, I want to see you do it properly, I want to see you enjoy it. So when I see on social media full of wingnuts who haven't a clue what they're doing, and then there's going to be, maybe they've got a following of 100,000 and you're going, oh my God, people are going to listen to this. People are going to wear these shit shoes and eat these shit gels because this boy said it, So there's no one thing in particular. In regards to other sports, sure, I love stirring the pot and I love winding things up. I don't know nothing about them, but I love stirring the pot for a bit of crack.
But it's true, and we are grateful for this podcast to get so many people, and through your episode, previous episodes, other people who've been on with great tips. It all boils down to individuality, but for the most part, bar a couple of changes in a plan, everyone's working towards the same thing and trying to get the best advice across to our listeners. And it is to take care. And in your run clubs and in other places, you're going to have the local expert as well. You're going to have so many people willing to give you advice. As soon as you say you have a marathon, you're going to get two looks. One that says, fuck off. And the other that says, I'm going to tell you everything I know about running in the next 10 minutes. So
I still get it. Like, you say you're doing London Marathon next week, and they'll be like, "Oh, wait, I tell you, I think you should do this," and you're like, "What?" Come on, like, I don't know. You just keep quiet and say, "Okay, thanks." Someone telling you to eat fucking jelly babies and all the rest.
Can
But
I ask you one last thing on that? The lead up over these next 16 weeks. A lot of people do the race series and stuff like that. Do you put importance on things like, okay, the 10K coming up to 10 mile, half marathon, I need to get PBs and stuff in this time, or the race series in general, having mini races leading up, or is it just 16 weeks marathon? You don't need to do race days.
no, look, when I started out, it probably was just a big, massive, do loads of miles, go to the marathon. But now, like, I definitely believe that race series is brilliant. I really, really do. Just to get people used to race day scenario, breakfast, shoes. Again, it gives you an opportunity to put on your vest and your short. It gives you an opportunity to be on the start line and that excitement and nervous and buzz. And then it also lets you progress to going, right, okay, I've done a 10K, I've done a 10 mile, I've done a half. You'll probably do the half and you'll get scared for your life and think, oh my God, how am I going to do twice this? We've
Yeah.
all had those exact thoughts. But I think the race series is honestly brilliant. Me personally, I have a couple of 10Ks. I'm doing the national 10 mile. So I want to race plenty this year as well. But not really pinning it down on, I have to run PBs. Just want to enjoy it more. I train really hard, like, and I definitely don't want to just put everything into one event or one race, like.
And again, it can take the scariness off if you haven't done a race. This better go right today, or if anything goes wrong, my race is ruined. If you've raced over 16 weeks and have done a good 10K for yourself, which you didn't think you do, a good half marathon, if a race day on a marathon goes bad, you still finish, you don't get your time. That's been a very successful 16 weeks.
Yeah, yeah, like, and I'd probably put this out there more to people only starting out. Excuse me, but don't fear. I've only opened the doors up now to coaching people in the last while. Don't fear a race. Some of them are getting ready for the marathon, and some of them have said, "Will I do a 10K? There's one on next week. I don't know. I'm afraid to. I don't think I'm going to run a PB already." Why not just get into it? Use the 10K as a bit of a speedy day, a session. You know what I mean? We'll wangle it into a week's training and get in there and get used to that. Get used to how you're going to put your food in and how you're going to handle your nerves and how you're going to handle your pace. And there's lots of stuff, lots of good stuff in a race that you can't get from training.
Hmm. Who cares about the time? The time is individual to the person and where
Yeah,
they're at in their journey. Like,
just get in and get used to those feels. And the more you get used to them, the more they'll feel normal come your big day, like your Dublin Marathon day. You'll be like, that's okay, I'm good with this. Like,
I'm gonna try and ask you to put a bone it, Michael. Anything we haven't touched on this podcast so far that you think, Jesus lads, you should have asked me this stage with Dublin Marathon, or anything with marathon training, or do you think we've covered all bases as we wrap up this? And I can't believe it. This is like 5 years doing this, and I'm already like up averaging the watch. Different things. I'm taking notes from my marathon coming up now, my seventh, eighth Dublin, and I'm not even too sure at this stage. So you've already brought a lot to the table. So feel free to say, Sean, it's pretty late now in the day. Wrap it
no,
up.
no, more than happy to talk. Look, wee silly things like that. I've learned a lot over the last 6 years, 7 years. So small stuff like that, that average thing on the watch has been a massive thing for me. Going and getting yourself tested, whether it be VO2, lactate test, whatever. Get these zones that you can, but get them and use them as a tool. Don't get them and be too focused and too concentrated on them. Use them as a nice guide. A lot of people are almost under training and putting themselves down. I'm finding a lot of people now that you're speaking to and helping where they're almost putting themselves down, going, I couldn't do that. And when you said, no, but you're fit to, or you're capable of doing it, they go out and they knock out a session and they come back. Same with me with Seaward, like he's putting belief in me and confidence in me. So over the next 16 weeks, pick up the little small tricks, get used to your food on your days, your long days. Try and use the food that you're going to use on race day. Gels, vitally important. Don't start mucking around with gels way later on. Don't be thinking that you don't need to take gels now. You need to start them now over the next 16 weeks so you're good, you're used to them, you know when to take them. What else? Fuel and hydration, that's one. Your average on your watch is another one. And you get more sleep. That's a mad thing to come from somebody with 3 kids. But if it's something you can get more of, brilliant. Sleep. I don't know who it was. Somebody famous one day said that if sleep was a substance, it would be banned because it's so good for you. It's so frigging important. Like, but other than that, lads, look, I think we've covered most. Just the most important thing of the lot: enjoy the process. It's 16 weeks. Don't make it a thing that you feel it's a chore or you feel it's a task. Just make it enjoyable. You've 16 weeks here to take on something that you might never do again. Most people won't do, and that you can stand on the other side of it and be very proud of yourself. So just enjoy the process.
Are you taking on more people for coaching for Dublin?
I put this thing up and I was forced into it by young Sean Casey, and he says, put it up and maybe try and help 5 people. I was like, sure, what would I know? I don't know anything. Nobody's going to want help from me. And he was like, take on 5 people. We'll see. And the day I put it on Instagram, I was shaking. I was like, oh, God, this is going to be embarrassing if I don't get 5 people. And I went back out to work for 3 hours or something when I come in, and there was 250 people in my inbox looking.
Jesus.
So I absolutely shit myself. I was like, what the fuck am I going to do now? So I had to, it's been very overwhelming, and it's been a bit of a mad thing. I had to filter through. I only got to, and this is being honest, and I hope a lot of people that I didn't get back to hear this, I only got through like 100 people, and I picked out 10. And very much so all based towards Dublin, and very much towards the type of people that I think I can relate to, working people with kids, people with jobs, people that just like myself that I can relate to and I can bring back to them. Some of them is first time. I picked a good variety of people. There are guys there. There's one was an ex-inter-county hurler with 3 All-Irelands under his belt, and now we're into marathons. And that's an amazing thing for me. We've got older people, younger people. So I've taken 10. At the moment, we're all having fun. Everybody's enjoying it. Everybody's saying it's good. Maybe they're just trying to be nice. I don't know. So at the moment, I was toying with the idea of 16 weeks out, saying, God, I'd love to pick another 5, say. But I'm afraid if I can put that up on my phone again.
500 Instagram followers.
I would like to. We're managing well and we're coping well. So look, if there are people out there 16 weeks out, and if they can relate to me and they think that I'm the type of person that they could relate to, look, don't be shy and hit me up and give me your story and fill me in, and I'll see what happens from there. But at the moment, it would be nice maybe to take on another small few.
You've opened the doors there to the DMs.
Kicked in.
Instagram is up.
I'd love to be able to sit down and help everyone. We would, you really would, but we're all busy, and some stage, I never thought my life would go down this line, or you know what I mean. And you have this thing in you where you're going, God, I have no right to do this. Who do I think I am? But there are people that have not achieved what I've achieved, and they're out there coaching and helping. But you only need to be able to bring someone on. It doesn't matter what you've done or achieved. Like, you could be a 4-hour marathon guy and you help someone who's trying to break 5 hours. You know what I mean? You've done a great thing for them. You can also be a 2:10 marathon runner and be a shed coach.
I'm going to be a great coach.
Yeah.
Shy marathons, but I'll coach very well. No, look, we do wish all those who are taking part with you the very best. All those who are listening to this and are getting excited and or nervous with the fact that they have a Dublin Marathon ticket, we hope that this brings you a little peace of mind that there's a lot of people on this journey with you. We are going to be covering this journey for the next 16 weeks. We may see Mick back for some last minute tips and tricks a couple of nights before the marathon if he hasn't overwhelmed himself with 4 million people to coach. No. We are going to be with everyone with more interviews, more guests for the next 16 weeks to bring you on this journey together. If you are running or training anywhere on your own, just know there's many other people like you doing it, up to the 20,000 odd people who are going to take on Dublin Marathon this year. So we can't thank you enough, as always, for giving us very precious time. We know how busy you are, so thanks so much for coming back to the podcast and being a good friend of ours and wearing the best t-shirt that was ever made. We do appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
Look, no, thank you, lads. Look, and what you are doing is brilliant. You don't see it from the runner side. You do, but we're out there listening, and people who are running alone and taking on this journey, you guys are there putting the hours in and giving us all something to listen to. So from everyone out there listening, thank you. And I'm one of them.
And on that note, thank you, Mick. That's it for this week's episode of the Any Given Run Day podcast. With myself, Mick, and Eric. Take care. What a shirt.